Oh, look, it's Max Verstappen's most anticipated movie of the year. Let's talk about F1.
F1 is directed by Joseph Kosinski and stars Brad Pitt as Sonny Hayes, a racing driver who comes out of retirement to save his former teammate's team Apex GP from collapse.
Those who know me know that I am a die-hard Formula 1 fan. I've been watching this sport, just like football, for pretty much my entire life. My dad is even a bigger fan than I am. I mean, he's been watching the sport since the mid-1970s. I mean, he has pretty much watched all the gods of the sport at this point. Nigel Mansell, Niki Lauda, Emerson Fittipaldi, Ayrton Senna, Michael Schumacher. He also has a few signatures from some former McLaren drivers and team principals. And if in case you've done the maths, both me and my dad are McLaren fans, and at the moment we're doing very, very well. My boys Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, shout out to them. Hopefully any one of those drivers wins the world title. I don't care at this point. And I also have a podcast called The Pit Stop Lounge, which I do with with Malcolm, one of my best friends. So this movie is right up my alley, and there have been plenty of documentaries and shows related to the sport. Drive to Survive on Netflix is one such prime example, which has attracted millions and millions of fans over the last couple of years. But we've rarely had movies centered on Formula One. I mean, the last proper one we've had, and in my opinion the best Formula 1 movie that is out there, was 12 years ago with Ron Howard's Rush, which basically focused on Niki Lauda and James Hunt's rivalry during the 1976 Formula 1 season, and it was a phenomenal film. It was one of my favorite movies of the past year, and I was curious to see if F1 delivered on the same vibes as Rush did, because this is the first that's taking place in the present day. And what also caught my attention is that it's directed by Joseph Kosinski, who made Top Gun Maverick, the movie that pretty much saved cinema. So I was expecting immersive racing scenes, but most importantly, I was expecting a spectacle, and this movie is exactly that. If you want to see a realistic depiction of the sport, watch next Sunday's race in Silverstone, because this ain't it, and this is a movie. It is a big budget, pro-American, underdog story that is very silly, but a definite crowd pleaser, which makes it such a fun movie to watch.
Look, is this movie a masterpiece? Of course not. And if I were to mention my issues with this, is that it is a little over dramatic and cheesy in some scenes, especially towards the movie's dire stages, and it is quite predictable. I mean, it has all the racing tropes that you have seen 100 times before in sports dramas. Team starts at the bottom of the pile, slowly works its way up to the grid, achieves results, sees many setbacks. It's basically Formula 1's version of Top Gun or Rocky. You know how this is going to pan out from a mile ahead. So it is formulaic, pun intended, but honestly, I think being formulaic is not necessarily a bad thing, because as much as I love my movies to be original, fresh, and beamy with ideas, you need to sometimes switch off your brain. And for F1 is exactly that. And this is why I love movies, yeah? For F1 is why I love movies. It's why I go to the cinema to watch movies like F1. Because this movie is tailor-made to be watched on the big screen. And it's executed brilliantly. I mean, this movie is such a blast, and two people deserve immense credit with this one. First is Joseph Kosinski, the director. He just gets it, man. He knows exactly what ingredients a summer blockbuster needs, and I was so excited to see how the racing scenes were going to be put together, because one of the best things about Top Gun Maverick were the jet scenes. They were so intense, so immersive, and so in the moment, and the same can be applied to the racing scenes in F1. They delivered tenfold on the racing scenes. They're amazing, exactly how they are in real life. And to maintain that authenticity, the racing scenes were filmed over multiple racing weekends during the last 2 years alongside the other drivers. And it feels like you are in the driver's seat. They're executed brilliantly. The way the multiple cameras are used inside the cockpits to shift through race footage, it's so dynamic, and it also sounds glorious as well, because with the sound of the cars and Hans Zimmer's score that accompanies these scenes in the background, you have to see this in IMAX. And then we get to the story, and while it is not the most original one out there, seeing this scene maneuver its multiple setbacks and work its way up to the top of the pile is exhilarating stuff. And this is where we get to our lead, Brad Pitt. this guy is a Hollywood superstar. His charisma and star power are on another planet. And just like Tom Cruise, he's in his 60s and he is still involved in big budget movies like F1. Now, speaking of Tom Cruise, he has just announced that a sequel to the 1990 NASCAR team movie Days of Thunder is underway. And I'd love to, and after seeing F1, I'd love to see a collaboration between Cruise and Pitt with both of their movies. Hope that happens, but I'm not sure. I think as of right now, it's a bit early on to say. But anyways, back to the movie. Brad Pitt is having so much fun here. He's playing a guy who's definitely in for the racing rather than the money. And he's also a bit of a cocky asshole because of his tense rivalry with hotshot rookie Joshua Pierce, who's also his teammate. And this is where the character work really shines in this movie story. Now, speaking of Joshua Pierce, Damson Idris plays Joshua Pierce, and he is definitely the standout of the supporting cast. He definitely nails the rookie character arc of his character that you come to expect in any sports drama film. And I'd love to, and let's hope this is not a one-off performance, because he definitely has the potential to be involved in these big budget movies, and he shines just like Brad Pitt in the film. Kerry Condon, who plays the technical director of Apex GP, is also a very solid standout in the film. So is Javier Bardem, who plays the manager of Apex GP, which obviously no surprise coming from both of these actors that they deliver good performances, and they are, as just like Brad Pitt and Idris and Damson Idris, they're having so much fun here. And I also love the cameos from the Formula One racers and the team principals as well. I'm not going to spoil who shows up in the film, but if you are a fan of the sport like I am, you're going to laugh your ass off in some of the scenes that unfold throughout this entire movie for sure. So overall, yeah, guys, go and watch this movie if you are a fan, or if you're not a fan of F1 in general. This is a movie that needs to be watched on the biggest screen and the loudest sound possible. Despite being a bit formulaic and not the most original plot out there, this movie is a blast to watch in the cinema, and that is why I'm giving F1 an 85%.
Those are my thoughts on F1, guys. If you have watched the movie last weekend or in this coming week, I'm curious to know your thoughts on the comment section down below. If you want to see more of this content, hit the subscribe button on the right hand side, and I'll see you for the next video.